Source Nation. I am your host, Jaketra Bryant, and I want to welcome you to Family Mix Mondays. And y'all know like that we have been talking about so many things this summer, particularly with like health and wellness. I know you see this nice young man next to me, and so I'm going to tell you who he is, but the whole purpose of just discussing a lot with health and wellness was so we can get our families involved and really just emphasize the importance of working on our mind, our body, and our spirit, and really like stopping a lot of preventative issues that are going on with our families. And so I have finally like taken up this whole like initiative myself with like really paying attention to my wellness. And Chris has not only become one of my new friends, but he is also like my trainer. And so this is life and fitness coach, life coach and fitness coach, health coach, Chris Milton. He is former DeKalb County SWAT officer, and he has a bachelor's in sociology, anthropology, and a master's in human science services and counseling. And Chris also is a deacon at North Avenue Presbyterian Church and a proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. He does so many community service projects like driving cancer patients around. So check out that YouTube channel on him and notice a whole lot of community service projects he's doing, as well as speaks on stress management and self-care. And I'll let him tell us so much more about him. So Chris, just tell us a little bit more about you and what else you have new going on.
Well, I mean, you summed it up. You summed it up. No, you did a great job. Probably the most important thing I'm doing right now, besides having Project Health and Wellness and conducting classes, is driving cancer patients to their appointment, which is through the American Cancer Society, and it's the Road to Recovery program. And we are looking for volunteers, so please check out the video and just sign up because we need more volunteers.
So cool. Thank you so much for just being a part of the series. And so throughout the summer, June was like National Health Month, particularly Men's Month. And I've heard it on a couple of radio stations myself where there are a lot of preventative issues going around, like from prostate cancer. We actually just lost a family member to a cancer that they found that was incurable. And that was a Black male. And so we want to talk about like the wellness side and a lot of preventative things that we can do, from spiritual like strengthening to mental strengthening to physical strengthening today for our family, so that a lot of these preventative things we can really address. And so Chris, what is like, when we hear wellness, like it could be a host of things, but I know when it comes to like your particular expertise with Project Wellness and Health, like what is wellness to you?
Man, what's wellness to me? Well, you know, it's funny, I didn't understand the concept of wellness until I was about 30. And I feel that as a whole, we have this misconception that wellness is just about this health, this eating right, and this exercising, which that is a small part, which is still a big part, but it's also being emotionally healthy, environmentally healthy, socially healthy, spiritually healthy. So when I think of the word wellness, it encompasses the 8 dimensions of wellness, which includes the important 8. And so when we look at wellness as a whole, we can't just focus on just eating healthy and working out, but also relationships. I mean, how many of us have been in toxic relationships that has caused us to go all the way on the deep end? Like maybe at one point we were eating healthy, taking care of ourselves, going to church, and then we end up with that Mr. Right, Mr. Wrong, or Miss Right, Miss Wrong, and then you find yourself deviating from your original plan, your original routines.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point you say. So I'm so guilty of that. I have been an emotional eater. I'm a stress eater with all of my work that I do. I am guilty for picking up something fast. So speaking of those particular things, with the emotional side and the relational side, how can a person like maybe recognize if they are tapping into like emotionally eating based on like stressors and kind of moving away from some healthy lifestyle?
I think, you know, the best way is to be aware, to actually see and to understand what you do when you're under stress. I think the problem that many of us have is not being present. So sometimes we do things unconsciously and we don't even know it. You know, for example, when we're rushing and we're stressed out. We might just pull in a fast food restaurant, grab a hamburger or some fries and then eat it. And then we go to our next appointment. And we didn't even think about what we just did. And so what we call mindful eating. So mindful eating is paying attention to what you're putting in your body. You have to look at your triggers. I know for me, when I was in let's say a toxic relationship, emotionally, I wasn't handling it well. And so I started to develop these unhealthy coping mechanisms. And so really what it boils down to is to pay attention to yourself and being in the present moment.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so like mindfulness is something good. If you remember a couple of series back, Leslie talked a lot about like mindful eating. Leslie, that was our nutritionist that came on. And so Leslie mentioned a lot about like listening to your body, about maybe having a drink of water to really see if you are actually indeed hungry or if it's something else going on. And so I think that's super important.
Well, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I think the problem is just we're just not aware because life becomes a routine. And so we do the same thing every single day, but some of the actions that we're doing is causing harm and it's going to cause more harm as we get older. We just don't see it now. So we're making these 5-minute decisions that can impact the rest of our lives.
Yeah. So I want to back it up a little bit, and I want to talk about like how Project Health and Wellness you guys started. And so how did the journey begin where you saw the importance of like implementing this combination of mind, body, and spirit?
Okay, so I'm gonna make the story short. It's gonna be a long story. As you know, I was a DeKalb County police officer for several years, and I experienced what it felt like to not work on your mind, body, and spirit. I had always been a physical person. I worked out. I thought I was eating healthy, but I wasn't eating healthy. And I fell into depression for a couple of years. I was suicidal. And it dawned on me that I was not taking care of myself, which is important, which we call self-care. So if you're not taking care of yourself, then you're neglecting yourself. And so for years, I thought I was nurturing my spirit. I thought I was nurturing my mind and my body, but I wasn't doing it in the right way. And so after I went through that stint of depression and began to go down a different journey, I started to realize the importance of working on my body and spirit. Now, I feel that it's almost like a cliche where people say it, but do we actually work on our mind, body, and spirit like daily? Like for example, for some people, going to church is working on their spirit, but that's only one day out of the entire week. And so your spirit can't just be nurtured from just one Sunday sermon. It has to be fed every single day. So how Project Health and Wellness got started was I wanted to find a way to give back. I didn't want to be one of these people that go to work, come home, live my little life, and never give back. And so since I had the experience of what it feels like to not nurture the mind, body, and spirit, now I'm teaching people the importance of nurturing the mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's important. And I ask that because I'm one of those people that really believe in like, unfortunately, a lot of like moments in our own lives have to happen before we're like, oh my goodness, like I think this was like maybe something divinely set up, or this was something that I was meant to maybe teach other people about, but we unfortunately go through it. Like when we experience a death, it makes us more aware like of cancer. And so, well, speaking of that, like you mentioned like getting it started and wanting to teach other people. And you also mentioned earlier about like this wellness word, and this wellness word kind of being like, we all hear wellness, and I know we immediately may go to things like, oh, this means I gotta go on this like crash diet, or this means like you're gonna like take away the fact that I like pizza or chicken. And I have to work out all the time and join a gym. So how do we get people to understand that wellness is not like a restriction so much, like all the time?
First we have to look at it as a lifestyle change. I think many people, when they start to see that they need to get healthier, they call it diets. And it's a diet, but it shouldn't be looked upon as a diet. It should be looked upon as a way that you want to enhance yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually. And so it's important when we say wellness, it boils into the quality of life that you want. So if you want a better quality of life, then you have to put more importance on your wellness and not look at it as a short-term journey. So of course, every year, January, the gym membership skyrocket, right? Because everybody set these New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
Well, that should be every single part of the year. That shouldn't just be on January. And then what happens is, well, by March and April, people begin to fall off because it was short term. And the reason being is because they didn't train their mind. So it really boils down on how we look at and define wellness. Yeah. And for me, wellness is just living a better quality of life.
Okay. So earlier you heard me mention that Chris has now become one of my friends as well as a trainer. So one thing that I was super impressed by Chris, like I am a chronic dieter, like my medicine cabinet guilty is of all the latest things, not healthy. And so, but I've always been that person that will go work out, but like as far as eating. And so one thing I appreciated about you is Chris like sat me down and I felt like there was this focus on like not only my physical, but really getting my mental and getting my spiritual, from asking me to write down things and be more consciously aware to even affirmations. And so I think that's something that like I really, really enjoy about like our time. And it's taught me to be more mindful. And then sometimes like I don't want to tell Chris what I wrote down because I'm just like, and it helps me to even be more mindful because I'm just like, man, now I gotta confess that I just ate like this piece of fried chicken and it's not good. But it really, like he's right, like it is like this lifestyle change and it is about being more mindful of it. And so with that, how can people like see the benefits to like shifting to this lifestyle instead of saying, oh, I'm like taking something away and I don't get to have this and it comes with all these things. Like, how can they see the benefits?
How can they see the benefits? I say try it. I mean, if you're at a point where you're tired and you're constantly getting sick and you don't like where you are right now in your life, and that could be mind, body, and spirit, the moment you begin to make those positive changes, you will feel the effects. And I'm even sure you can speak on that, not even just from a workout standpoint, but writing down affirmations and reading those affirmations. I mean, let's face it, we live in a negative world, and it's very rare people are going to keep you encouraged. So you have to find ways to keep yourself encouraged. And I always tell people, if you can at least stick with it for 30 days, just give it a shot. It will change your life. But then the key is to be consistent all the way through. So the answer to that question is just try it. I mean, if you don't like where you are right now, physically, mentally, and spiritually, then it's not going to hurt anything. And it's not so much about restriction or taking anything out. It's just being a little bit more balanced in what you're eating and what you're doing and what you're thinking and what you're feeling.
And that may be that mind part, right? Like being able to have this like focus and being more present. And so the more mindful you are and the more present you are, the more aware you are of like that you have these negative thoughts about like finances, or have these negative thoughts about like your body or yourself or where you are or what your family looks like. So it still all goes together with this total wellness package.
It does. And we self-judge ourselves. And I'm sure everyone that can relate, you look in the mirror and you start to criticize yourself. And look at my stomach, or look at my arms, look at my legs. And then that's negative talk. That's negative talk, and it gets into your mind. And then where does it go from there? Well, it goes down unless you actually do something about it. And so going back to what you were saying, everything starts with the mind. So what we're talking about, it's not rocket science. Like people know this stuff. It's just my goal is to bring it to people's awareness.
And I like the combination of the mind, body, and spirit, because I do believe those things all work together. So like our mind drives us, well, our spirit is a spirit being people, but our thoughts drive like our action, like to like go lift weights or go and run. And so I like the connection.
And it doesn't just stop with the working out, but it's just life in general. So when life gets heavy, when you have to go to funerals, when you lose loved ones, when you have a balance of mind, body, and spirit, it enables you to handle life better. You're stronger. Versus when you're not balanced and life happens, then it's easier for you to tip over. And you can find yourself going down a dark space because you didn't have that balance in the beginning.
I agree. And speaking of finding yourself going in this dark space, and so with the whole kind of conversation of the parenting side of things, like how can a family introduce this into their family when they're noticing that the family is having bad eating habits? They are like laying around watching TV and not very active. Like, how would you suggest that they can like implement and introduce the importance of this mind-body spirit into a family?
I say first have a family meeting and just sit down and be, excuse me, be real with each other. I think sometimes realness, it hits people hard.
Yeah.
You know, especially, let's say, for example, you have a husband who's not taking care of himself, and you ask him some hard questions like, do you want to see your kids grow up? You know, do you want to live longer? And hopefully the answer is yes. One thing I have learned is that, you know, kids, they mimic their parents. So if the parents can start, if they can start living that lifestyle, then the kids will adopt it too. But I think first things first is just to sit down and have a conversation and say, hey, where do you want to be in the next 5 years? You know, are you happy with where you are? Do you wake up in the morning and you feel tired? Do you go through your day, you feel sluggish? Are you getting colds every other week? You know, questions like that gives you answers. Yeah. And that's the important part when we're talking about a family, because I believe when you have a family, you can be even more dynamic because now everyone is accountable to each other. So I know that I'm accountable to you and you're accountable to me. So when I'm driving past Krispy Kremes and I see the hot sign flashing, and I'm going to think about my wife and be like, nah, she won't want me to do this because she wants me to be around. So first things first is to have a conversation. Everything starts with a conversation. Everything. So you can't implement a plan or create this strategy without having a conversation first.
It's funny, you mentioned Krispy Kreme. Literally the other day, so good. It's on weekends with it. But Chris is a great trainer, so it is me. It's my conscious decision. But speaking of that and family decisions, I was with my brother and the hot sound was on. We were like coming from the funeral. And so literally he was like, oh my goodness, every time I'm this side of the road, the sign is off. And then he was like, but when I'm on this side, it's on. And then we looked at each other and we was like, should we go? And literally we influenced each other to pull over and do a full like U-turn, turn around. It was so extra, y'all. It just really took a lot of extra effort to do it. And so needless to say, like, if one of us would have been strong, then it would have probably turned out a lot differently. And then he was telling me that like his younger brother was in the car with him the other day and same light was on. And he was like, should we stop? And he was like, no, let's just keep going. And so it shows like there is an influence from the family. I just did not pass.
Yeah, you can't have two weak people in the same situation. Like that doesn't work in anything in life. Two weak people are always going to have a bad ending.
No. And so I had my days. I'm working.
Yep. But it's okay though.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, we all fall short, but the key is to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So you can't dwell on that.
Yeah.
That was yesterday. Today's a new day. And so we move forward. We just make sure that doesn't happen again anytime soon.
No more hot signs. No.
Yeah. Well, hope it was worth it.
We shared it with people at the funeral.
Okay.
I just had one.
Go ahead and kill them too, right?
Right. And so then like a family member just died of cancer. So yeah, took it out, I guess. So yeah, but I think it's like you're right, the influence of that. And so I'm sure you know that a lot of schools are like, since Michelle Obama they were in office, they were doing a lot of childhood obesity, and it just became something that was really, really like publicized. And so a lot of schools are actually talking about what's healthy and grilled options and fruit and vegetables and portion size. And so those kids are coming home and being able to talk about like health and wellness and healthier choices with their parents. And so like, what are your thoughts about that? Like roles are reversing. It's not the parent who's like always educating the kid about like, hey, let's introduce this, but the kid being like, I don't know if you should have it.
I mean, I think that's great as long as the parents listen and follow suit. The problem is that if the kid is at school and he's learning all these great tips to eat healthy, and even at school he's eating his salads and tomatoes and avocados, and then he comes home and then mom has some fried chicken and fries, on the stove, then it's going to counteract what he's learning. So I think well, when it boils down to is, parents have to be the leaders. I mean, they have to.
Mm-hmm.
And it really doesn't matter how much the kid learns outside of the home. Everything starts within the home.
Mm-hmm.
And if they spend a majority of their time, in a sense, at home, if the parents are not embedding that, then as the kids get older, they're going to forget and they're going to go back to the ways of the parents.
Mm-hmm. And so let's I want to talk about that with that portion of it, like what kids kind of the parents and families being on two different sides.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know for me, my son is 10, no Christian. Everyone else Christian. And so I don't let Christian lift weights because he's 10. I want his body to naturally develop.
Mm-hmm.
But when we often think of like the body side, there is a portion where our thoughts go to literally like weights, mm-hmm. or some type of like exercise and cardio. So like, how can we like educate families that it's more than just lifting weights and more than just kind of like some of the things that we miss, like more than Zumba, that it's like a whole bunch of things involved when it comes to like getting your body healthy.
Yeah, and that's
not mind, body. Yeah.
Well, that's a great question, and I'm sure some of y'all that can relate. When we work out, we have this belief that when we work out, we can eat whatever we want to.
Yeah.
And it gives us that justification. Well, I ran 2 miles. I went to the gym this morning, so now I can eat this cheeseburger. I can eat this pizza, which is not good because mm-hmm. it counteracts on what you're doing. I believe that a person can change their diet alone without exercise. You can lose weight. That's possible. But people who just work out still get sick. They still get diseases. Mm-hmm. And so I believe, and even people that eat well. So if you're dealing with someone who has high stress, but they're working out and they're eating well, well, then the stress is going to counteract all of that. So really, people need to understand, like, it's the complete you. It's the whole. Yeah. It's not holistic. It's everything. It's every part of you. So, for example, if I'm working out and I'm eating well, but I'm in a toxic relationship, mm-hmm. do you not think that's going to affect my health in the long term? Of course it will. Mm-hmm. Or if I'm working 70 hours a week, but I'm working out 5 days a week, and I'm getting up and I'm running, I'm eating nothing but fruits and vegetables, but I'm working 70 hours a week. At some point, that's going to catch up. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at yourself in the mirror, look at the complete you. Don't just focus on your stomach, your legs, your hips. Yeah. Look at you as a whole, from top to bottom.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And internally, inside too. Look at that, because you can be looking all good on the outside, but I know some people, they're real sick in the inside.
Oh yeah, I know some people from the parents. I definitely know. But no, I think that's like really true. I totally agree. Especially since I am a person who's super guilty of going, and trying to be more mindful of like stressors and triggers that I have when it comes to like not paying attention to certain things. And so I think parents, that is some area like that it's really challenging to have a balance. It's really challenging to be able to like introduce something healthy when the drive-through line is like right here and your kid is screaming or hungry and you've been gone all day. So that's another task to go home and cook. But I know for me, what helped me to stop going through the drive-through line, even if I have to be late for the next test, because I'm guilty of being late for the next test, is like I was tired of my bank account saying Moe's and like Pizza and Marco's Pizza. I was like, man, Chick-fil-A. Like it was as if I had stock or something. Mm-hmm. And so that helped me to really evaluate my finances as to where I was stopping so often. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't good. So financial thing as well. What about like, so Chris, I know you do a lot of workshops when it comes to like stress management and self-care. Can you speak about some of those and how that ties into this whole like wellness plan?
I mean, it kind of goes back to the thing that we've been talking about the whole entire time of the show. Is you got to look at every area. So for example, if you find yourself under a lot of stress, then do something about it. I think it becomes it becomes a reality, and so they don't change it. And I remember I had a class a couple of months ago, and I asked everyone, so how many of y'all are under a lot of stress? And so 5 people raised their hand. I said, what are you doing about it? Like, well, raise your hand if you're doing anything about it. And no one raised their hands. And so we have to be conscious of that. If you're under stress, you can't allow that stress to continue. because stress causes inflammation. Inflammation causes disease in the body. And if you don't find a way to control the stress will control you. Now, then it leads into the whole self-care piece. I feel as a whole, we don't take care of ourselves the way we need to. Why? Why is this? Well, it's because the world takes about 99% of our attention. So you have kids, you have work, you have church, you have friends, you have relationships, and then somewhere kind of in the back, that's when you kind of step into the picture. And I feel that we put ourselves on the back burner, like going to the doctor. Oh, I haven't gone to the doctor yet. Okay, why? I'm gonna go next week. And then next week comes and you don't go. And we put that off. And then we go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, yeah, you got high blood pressure, you got high cholesterol. And then we scramble. What are we gonna do? And then people try to like do this quick fix. Yeah. And it doesn't work. So my goal is when I teach these classes is for people to be proactive. So don't wait until you go to the doctor. Don't wait until you go to the doctor and you find out you have cancer, or you have diabetes, or you have high blood pressure. Like, be proactive now. Like, take your own health in your own hands. Yeah, that's a good point. And so speaking of that, that's the same thing kind of like with our family member. It was, I think, a matter of like the 1st of June, so he passed on like last Monday. It was a really, really like fast, like, oh, you have something going on with you. We think it may be cancer, to like a very, very short process. And so, and I do believe like a lot of preventative things should happen. And so, but one positive thing, because of that incident, my sister-in-law was saying another family member had some same similar symptoms, and she was like encouraging her to not wait on any other like types of tests and be proactive and go ahead and have conversations and take the necessary steps, because it was such a fast transition. And so that happened. And I think because of that, is one of those other things, is like a blessing. Because of that, I now can educate others about like preventative things. Absolutely. I mean, we all have a choice. First things first, you have to listen to your body. And I actually had an uncle years ago. He had one of the rarest forms of cancer. But for, I don't know, 3 months, he was just throwing up blood. That's huge. Right. And he waited. And by the time he went to the doctor, he only had about a month left. So it's important that we listen to the signs of our bodies. If you have a headache and you've had a headache for 3 or 4 days and you don't normally have headaches, you might want to go to the doctor. Or, for example, it was this real quick story, this news reporter, and she was having headaches for about a week or so. And she ended up dying on air because she had an aneurysm. So we have to listen to our bodies. If your body will tell you what's going on before something actually happens. Just the problem is that we don't take the time to listen to our bodies. Yeah, I agree. It's really hard to, like, well, I don't think it's hard to, let me take that back. I think it's about slowing yourself down and being aware of what's happening. And it's really challenging when your day is busy, but I think is once you see some benefits of it. Yeah, we have to all slow down. And I know firsthand how it feels to hit a brick wall. Yeah. And I'm a believer. I believe in God. I feel like God will slow us down. I'm on God's team too. Yeah. He will slow us down. Like, if you don't learn how to slow yourself down, He will put something that will stop you. Yeah, I agree. It will stop you. So we can't be Corvettes in the fast lane going 90 all the time, because the reality is that we will all slow down at some point in life. It's just some of us are going to slow down a little bit sooner because we have burned our motors for so long, and then the motors explode. Where if you pace yourself, get in the middle lane, take care of your car, get the monthly checkups that you need to, the yearly checkups, make sure everything is sound, then your car is going to go a lot further. Yeah, Chris said that to me the other day, just a little disclosure, because I'm all about being transparent. So he said that to me the other day, and I joke around and he's fussing at me, but it's okay. I have really thick skin. But I know, like, he truly, truly is passionate about like what he does. And so, but one of my favorite authors, Michelle McKinney-Hammond, I remember reading one of her books, and in her, I forgot which one I read first, because I read about 10 of her books, but she has about 20 some books.
But the reason she has 20 some books, because in her portion, she'll tell you that like she was just going and going and going and going with life and just doing so much. And literally one day on her regular routine, she walks out like the same street she always does and gets hit by a truck. And so she mentions that she is paralyzed, not paralyzed, but like bedbound where she can't like walk and in a wheelchair for 3 years. And so she talks about God literally like giving her the biggest like stop sign of your life because he wanted to get her attention and slow her down so that he can like help her focus on like mind and body and spirituality, of course. And so in those 3 years, she ended up writing like 13 books. And so I remember reading that when I first started reading her books, maybe like, gosh, 4 or 5 years ago. And I remember being like, that's not going to be me. I was like, God, you got my attention. I don't have to get hit by a truck or anything to be sat down. But he uses very subtle ways to like sit us down a lot if we are not paying attention.
I agree. So one way to learn how to be still is to meditate. And I meditate twice a day for 20 minutes. And not only does it slow me down physically, but also slow me down mentally and spiritually. So you have to find at least 20, 30 minutes outside of your day where you sit down and you're just still. Because the reality is that from the moment you get up to the moment you come home and go to bed, you're moving nonstop. And then when you get home, you're so tired that you lay down and you go to sleep and you do it all over. So when you meditate, it gives you a chance to check in with yourself. So I can feel how my body's feeling. So my back hurts or my knees hurt, or how am I emotionally, how am I psychologically? So all those things play in the part of the meditation. For me, it does. So if you want to find a way to slow down, it doesn't have to be 20 minutes. It can be 5 minutes. It can be 15 minutes. You know, it can be 5 minutes just in the car doing deep breathing exercises. I feel that many of us, we get into accidents because we're not present, because our minds are a lot further than where we are in the present moment. So we have to reel our minds back in so that we can stay present.
Yeah, I like that. And so another like combination with like the mind and spirit together would be like meditation from reading like the Bible or any spirituality pieces there, or prayer. Those also would be something good.
Absolutely.
And then therapy, there's this, you don't really have to be trained in it, but progressive muscle relaxation. So progressive muscle relaxation teaches you to be mindful or aware of when your body is tense and it giving you signals that you do have that headache that you mentioned, or you do have that stomach pain prior to actually having aneurysms or throwing up blood, because you're recognizing that from the progressive muscle relaxation. So you can Google that, and it's something you can definitely do at home. It's basically tensing up each of your body parts one by one and holding them for a count of like 10 seconds and then letting each part go so you can note the difference of what it feels like being tense and versus relaxed.
That's a great point. That's a part of self-care.
Yeah, I think so. And so what about any other particular like 5 to 10 minute exercises so they can begin doing, or just introducing to their families that would be beneficial to just like the slow process of taking note to that this is actually important?
So in addition to meditation, I'm also a big fan of journaling. When we put things on paper, it gives us something visual to look at. So that's a great exercise to do for 5 or 10 minutes, just to write down how you feel, just like I have you writing down what you're eating. Because we can go through the course of our day and not remember anything that actually took place or how we felt. So it's good to be able to record what we're feeling, what we're doing. Of course, in addition to the meditation, deep breathing exercises are good, and also stretching. So in the morning, at least for 5 minutes, doing some basic stretching. And you can stretch with the family. Turn the televisions off, put the smartphones away, get everybody in one room, practice some breathing exercises, do some stretches, start planning what we're going to eat tomorrow for dinner. I think a lot of it really boils down to it's just we're distracted with social media, with the news, with email, and so we don't consciously make time. It was so interesting. So I was out for dinner and I noticed 2 couples, and they were both on their cell phones, and they're just scrolling through. And so we've lost the interaction with each other. I feel that we don't connect. Like back in the day when I was growing up, and you're not too much younger than me, but we didn't have so you were able to connect.
Yeah,
You was able to actually sit down and have a conversation. I remember sometimes you would be on the phone like 5-6 hours.
Right.
Now no one even has time to be on the phone for like 30 minutes because it's like, yeah, I got it for you. Besides that, but I got to check my email or I'm going to miss my television show. I think when it comes to family dynamics, from a wellness and health standpoint, you have to take time to connect. You have to see where everyone is. And once you see where everybody is and you connect, you can start implementing a plan. So that would be probably my top 3 or 4. So meditation, journaling, stretching, and deep breathing exercises are probably my top 4. And you can just start off with 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be 10, 15 minutes. You don't have to write a book. You can just write a couple of paragraphs.
It's interesting that you say that about the technology side, because that's what I've also been talking about this month with the show, and just like how technology is affecting relational interactions.
Oh, it's killing it.
Yeah, and so and that kind of ties back in what you were saying about if you are in a toxic relationship or if something is stressful going in the home, how it'll affect your mind, your body, your spirit, all of it still connects back together.
It's killing it. Because now we have more access to things that can cause us spiritual damage, mental damage, even physical damage.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and that's when you look at the divorce rate, almost over 50%.
They don't know each other.
Who wants to get married now these days? But I think at the end of the day, it goes back to being self-aware. If you're a person that always have to be on your cell phone, that's a problem. If you can't put your cell phone down for at least 30 minutes, or the text message goes off, and you automatically respond to go answer that text. Like the next time a text goes off, let it sit for 15, 20 minutes. Just let it, it's going to be okay. That person's going to be all right. But we're programmed now. We're programmed through Facebook, right? Through cell phones. We hear a ding and we respond. We have to go check our feeds and things of that nature. So it's important too is to ensure that you're disconnecting from the world. So for example, I call it my sabbatical day. So my sabbatical day is for me to disconnect from work, disconnect from the world. I might even go to the park or to a lake and just lay, sit, look at the water. But we have to disconnect. We can't stay connected 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
That's a good point.
Because what ends up happening is we want to wear ourselves out even more, and then you don't even get a chance to even who are you? Most people even like to spend time by themselves. They have to be around something, someone. Be by yourself. Learn yourself. And I think another reason why relationships are not working out is because people don't know themselves.
Yeah, so agree. Oh my God, I'm very sorry on that. I could give a whole book, a big book actually about that. That is so true. But I think that is true. We are guilty of that. And then I think what's amazing is the fact that that's not the immediate connection that we make. We may not think that having a toxic relationship or not knowing yourself actually will affect how you eat and will affect you in a personal way. And then what you are influenced by with picking up the ice cream or the Krispy Kremes. So I'm sure with my brother in that situation, that one, we were influenced by the hot now sign, which is a trap. But I think we were also influenced by, in Black families, this sense of togetherness means we need to cook. and I'm Black. And so I grew up on Sunday dinners with a lot of soul food and things like that. I'm from the South, and this sense of togetherness in Sunday dinner emphasizes, let's bring all these meals that actually have a lot of lard in it. And so
and it starts with the families. It does. And like you said, in the Black community, food is everything. But unfortunately, food is killing us. I asked this question at one of my classes. I was like, well, how many Church's chickens, of course, we live in Atlanta, do you see in Buckhead by Lenox Mall?
Right.
You don't see one, right?
So
you don't see one Church's chicken by Lenox Mall.
Right.
Or, how many Chipotle's do you see on the south side of town?
Right.
You don't.
That's good. You don't.
So
That's so true.
So I tell people, so think about it. So you have these Church's chickens in your community, and we eat them and we feed them to our kids, and then we end up getting diabetes and we get high blood pressure, and then we see the dialysis. I've never seen dialysis in a mall. Do you see dialysis at Lenox Mall?
No.
You don't
It's
see
in
that.
like Greenbrier.
It's in Greenbrier.
Yeah.
So, and I was telling them, I was like, that should anger you because see,
Yeah.
these companies, they're thriving, they're making money, but then what's ending up happening? You know, we're getting cancer, we're getting heart disease, we're getting high blood pressure, we're getting all these different elements, but these companies are still in existence because we're feeding them. We're feeding them. We're giving them money, and they stay in business, and we're slowly killing ourselves.
Yep.
Which it angers me. So if I seem like I'm a little hot right now, because every time I think about it, it makes me upset, especially when I'm driving by and I see like people going in there and they're eating, and I'm just like, God, you're killing yourself.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And then like the specials and stuff like that, it's really hard. Like I know for me as a parent, like the most immediate thing I think about as a parent is to be like very efficient. Like I'm feeding 2 people every day, which is a lot. Like every day I'm feeding 2 people. And so my immediate thought process is to save money because I got to feed 2 people every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, to make sure. And so when you see commercials or when you see signs that say 2 for 1 and you're getting like more for a less amount, that literally like goes off in a parent's head to say, oh my goodness, what a great deal. They're thinking of me. But not really.
And so you can get like 20 pieces of chicken from churches for like $1.99, right? I mean, really. And so you feed the 20 pieces of chicken to your family, but then now you got a doctor's bill, right? Now you got to go pay. You got to buy medication for the high blood pressure that you're going to be on high blood pressure medication pills for the next 20, 30 years of your life. So either way, you're going to be giving up the money. So you might as well at least put the money towards something that's going to help you in the long run.
I agree. I think that's like the biggest challenge I know for myself. It is. And so now after seeing my finances that I don't like, then I now cook in the house. And sometimes I'll get up in the morning, I'll go ahead and cook like dinner so that we won't stop. And Christian has now started choosing grilled options if we do eat out. And part of that was he is mindful of what he sees in me, but then also the school began introducing things in. So I do think it's a 2-part as well, which is helpful. And so Chris, like I wanted to give you an opportunity also to talk about like, I know you mentioned like driving the cancer patients around. And so they're at a really tough time in their life. They have unfortunate cancer, or fortunate, just depends on how God has it. But I want to talk to you like how, if a person already does have some type of illness, like some of your patients that you drive around, how can you show them that they still have control over having, like staying focused on the particular areas that we've named? And they're not giving up hope, because we talked about trying to prevent it. So now if someone has it, like how can we like kind of still encourage them?
Well, I think anything that you do as far as eating healthier, eating fruits and vegetables, it's been studies have shown that people can reverse cancer, or you can extend your life expectancy. Just because you've been diagnosed with cancer doesn't mean that you shouldn't change your lifestyle. I think sometimes people feel, well, that's it, might as well just go ahead and just keep doing what I'm doing. But I feel at the end of the day, anything good is going to help you not only physically, but it's going to help you emotionally and psychologically. And hope. So hope is good. So when you know that you're doing the right things as far as eating the right foods, it does something to your mentality, your mind. And so you begin to be more encouraged that, hey, listen, I actually might be able to beat this. It was interesting. I read an article and we're just talking about how people that are diagnosed with cancer, it's even more important for them to change their lifestyle. But what ends up happening is that they get diagnosed, they go through the treatments, the cancer's in remission, but they never change their lifestyle. So they keep doing the same things that they were doing that could have possibly caused the cancer. And so it was important to echo that even if you're diagnosed with an illness from high blood pressure to high cholesterol to cancer, changing your lifestyle will help you on so many multiple levels.
That's good. That's good. And so Source Nation, I really hope that you pulled a whole lot of information from here, from Chris, as well as just the topic as a whole. And so, Chris, how can they find you later if they have more questions, or just maybe come to one of your workshops?
Okay. You can go to my website, which is www.projecthealthandwellness.com. And on my website, I post the flyers for my upcoming classes. The next event that I have is a health and wellness retreat in Conyers, Georgia, at the Trappist Monastery, which is August 3rd through August 5th. And if you're interested, feel free to go on my website and to retrieve the information. And you can also email me at chris@projecthealthandwellness.com.
Okay, thank you. So please follow up. Please attend his workshops. I can attest as a person, I think we've been working on 2 months now.
Mhm.
Maybe 2 months now. And so I have definitely seen results, and not only in the physical part, but he is a person who is very dedicated to strengthening your mind and your spirit as well. So that's something that was super important for me. And so definitely follow up with him, even if it's not to attend a workshop, but definitely maybe like, come get trained.
Or even better, just take some awareness time to just see where you are. And if you don't reach out to me, reach out to someone, but get some type of support. That's why coaches are good, counselors are good, because we need someone to hold us accountable.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a family member or a friend to hold you accountable, well, hire your coach, find your counselor. That would be my words of advice, anyone that wants to make a change.
I'm pro counseling. Everyone needs counseling, if you ask me, which they really do. But so if you are not you.
No, I said I do.
Oh, I was like, what?
No, I got all kinds of issues.
But everybody does it. So if you are interested in any type of advertising on SRN television, like definitely contact tracyjeffco@gmail.com or Kathleen1971@gmail.com, and they'll be glad to get you started on any advertising with us. As always, I'm here each Monday for Family Mix Mondays as we break generational cycles and we restore and build up our families and really have these conversations that we think about, but we're not coming out to talk about. And so please do follow back up with me. You can follow me on Twitter at Jaketra B. I do now and then post a couple of inspirational, motivational things, so definitely that may get your mind right and your spirit right there. And also email me at jabryant1913@gmail.com. You can also contact me on my website, www.b3mentalperformances.com. Follow my YouTube. Please subscribe to Jaketra Bryant on my YouTube channel and see other videos of Source Radio and other videos with me on Family Mix Mondays. And so please tune back in next Monday as we continue our series and talk more about technology and parental involvement.
Get at me for features.